I'm delighted to invite to the stage Robin Denholm, who joined Telstra over the summer as our Chief Operations Officer. Robin, a couple of related questions. The US versus Australia in terms of how tough is the market here, do you think, compared to the level of competitive intensity that you see in the US?
I think it is different, not from a competitive perspective, because to me the world truly is global in terms of competitive forces and technology forces and that sort of thing. Obviously, the market here is much smaller, so there are a lot of constraints in terms of economies of scale and stuff. I do think that's changed even over the 15 years I was away, but I do think it still is a constraint on the market because you can't get those economies of scale. I do think if I was starting a company today from Australia, I wouldn't be worried about that as much. You know, it was the case even 5 years ago that if you started a technology company in Australia, you really had to go to the US or to another market, not to sell your goods, but to get funded or your services. But actually, I think that's changing quite a bit. So I think, you know, the ingredients for me of creating a vibrant technology environment is to have very good, reliable connectivity, to have actual investment money, not too much. There is, I think, a point at which you've got too much in terms of seed capital and it can drown a company. I also think in terms of having talent, that's probably the number one thing, the attractiveness of the company for the best talent in the world, because it is a very competitive environment out there. And you can do it from anywhere now. Whereas when I moved to the US 15 years ago, there was a technology industry here, but it was pretty nascent, and there weren't a lot of companies that were starting from here and staying here and exporting to the world. That's changed. Obviously, Atlassian had a big role to play in that, and some other companies as well. The startup environment here is quite vibrant, much more so than it was, you know, even 5 years ago, I think. And I think that's phenomenal. The one thing we take for granted here is our education system. I think our education system is phenomenal here. And I don't just mean the universities, I actually mean all the way through. We probably don't produce enough engineers, but that's a testament to the fact that we've got a smaller population. So, but we're also being attractive for engineers globally, which I think is really good, particularly from the Asian region, which again, from my perspective, come back to the whole theme of the conference, you have diversity of thought.